Hi everybody, it's Stacey Pinski here. So a lot of you know me that I used to be a math teacher there, and so I taught junior high and high school math. But you probably don't know, and maybe that some of you adults can relate to this, but so I never really, I liked history enough, I learned a lot of the lessons and I loved the teachers and stuff like that. But they never integrated math with history, which I think if they did, I probably would have taken some more business classes and economics classes. So I don't want my kids to be limited. I don't want your kids to be limited either. So with some of the stuff that's going in the news, I thought this was a perfect opportunity to teach my 7-year-old. Now, he's never learned division yet. He does know a pretty broad base of division. We talk about it when you cut pizza and stuff like that, or sharing with friends and stuff like that. So he does know, he's caught on, pretty quickly with division without even really not even being taught about it. So statistics, a lot of us didn't take statistics classes. I was one of 4 women math majors at my college. And that was the first time I ever took a stats class. So you can imagine that a lot of the teachers out there haven't taken stats classes. A lot of us adults have not taken stats classes. So, but it was such an eye-opener when I got to teach the integrated math programs, which are, are very, very real-world based, and that was awesome to be able to do that. And I did that with inner city kids and with suburban kids. So, and I've always found opportunities to, wanting to pass it forward, because I think that with our, and I want to make things duplicatable so that it's really easy for people, and people don't have that feeling of I hate math and just not going to look into it further, when they do their 5-minute Google search. And actually, I was actually a really slow reader, which is probably why I didn't like history as much, because it was very, very text heavy. So if I would have had more of applications, to be able to incorporate economics and stat sort of stuff, that probably would have been really helpful. One of my early mentors that I had, Lydia Lee, she was awesome. She said to me one time, she was observing my classroom, and she goes, "Well, where's your stuff? You teach math, where's your stuff?" I thought about it, and I was like, I was never taught math with stuff. So here's my stuff today. I've got the dice, and I've got some markers, and that's all that you really need. And maybe a ruler or a sheet of paper or something, just with a straight edge, just to keep organized. But otherwise, I've got templates for you too. So you really just need the dice and the markers, maybe 2 or 3 colors, or crayons, colored pencils, that'll work too. Yeah, so this can be, we've all been stuck at home, so to be able to give some different activities for kids, it's really important to have the stuff for the right brain stuff, for the emotional connections, connecting right and left brain. Right brain is usually more of a creative day. And what do you know? I did not plan this, but it is going to be snowing 3 to 6 inches today. So if you are a teacher, you will know that it's right brain day today, and you will feel it in your classroom. Parents, it also is a right brain day for you as well, with your kids being at home. So just know that if the first snowfall, it's a right brain day. It's a great day to do creative work, because you're needing something different. You're stuck, and you're excited, you're whatever. So use those emotions to fuel that energy to be able to do an activity like this or others or whatever. So I've got a couple other videos on YouTube if you want to look at them. One's business related, but another one is where my daughter and I start talking about business concepts and stuff too. But we created a game, where it's math and business and stuff like that. So, and then I've got some worksheets on my SlideShare for LinkedIn, which are like the most important skills that kids need to use, probably like 3 or 4 worksheets there. But whenever I'm going to create something, I want to be able to, I'm a busy parent here as well. I feel like I'm doing double time with teaching my kids at home and working myself, and then also trying to run my business and stay healthy and plan for my kids' birthdays this week. But anyway, so yeah, we've all got busy stuff going on. So this activity is about statistics, and there's been some statistics in the news. Whether you agree with them or not, it still needs to be an important skill that you help your kids develop, which is critical thinking. So there have been some things in the news where, 98,000 votes at one time went 100% to one person. In a different state, 138,000 plus votes went to one person. When there's two parties or more, and so we really need to stop and say, is this feasible? That's the question. So without getting political, that's for different conversation stuff. That's just more for private conversation mostly and stuff like that. But to be critical thinkers, this is super important. So let's just say that there's two parties, just to kind of simplify it, right? We got a red party and a blue party. It doesn't matter who you're for. The math is still the math. Again, this is not political at all, but this is kind of like the scholastic version. You get those little readers or whatever for kids that you get to do. This is very educational friendly, not political at all. I promise you 100%. So what does it mean to have a 50-50 chance, okay, of the red team winning or the blue team winning? This could be for soccer or for whatever else too, okay? So it doesn't have to be necessarily political. It could be, it could be your kids at home, who's driving the red car versus the blue car. They're both equally talented, who's gonna win, that sort of thing. So same sort of concept. Now, I don't really like coins, flipping coins, because it is actually very, very hard for kids and they get distracted with coins. So I like to use dice because they are, kids like to roll them. Now, again, I would use this even with a kindergartner because it's also learning their skills about numbers and stuff like that. So when you have two things, then you can just do things, you can do something like evens versus odds. Okay, so we're gonna compare what does it mean to have a 50-50 chance, right? Both of them are equally talented candidates, and they have a 50-50 chance of winning, right? And so what does it mean to have a 50-50 chance? So here's my instructions. I say to use either, if you have smaller kids, then I would just use one dice. Well, and actually just starting out, I would, for most kids, I would just use one or two dice. Use one for kids that that might take a little bit more time or they're younger, but two kids for all ages, because I think even high school kids would need to start out with a slower method so they get that habit and they start to visualize what's happening and put that into place. So I'd always start with two, but when you get into further in the exercise, you could increase it up to 5 if you wanted to. Or up to 10, or you could just stick with the 2 dice. Probably plenty to stick with. But you can see I'm trying to find groups that that make up 10, because the kids are using grouping strategies of tens. So anything that would be something that would be divisible by 10. I think I'm using that right word. I don't know the vocabulary words anywhere. I need to learn them. That's funny. I'm no longer a math teacher. I work in wealth services, just so you know. So when you lose it, when you don't use it, you lose it. So the dice are going to be easier. And again, I would choose 1, 2, 5, or 10. And to start off with, I would start with 2. That's what we did yesterday. Okay, and then my son was like, "Well, that's a little too slow. So can I do 3?" And I was like, "No, not 3, because I want to keep track of them. I was the tallier." So that's why I increased it to 5 for him. And then I made it I made a little organizational thing so he could tell me where the categories went. So I'll show you that, and I've got templates for you there as well. So that's the question. Okay, doesn't matter if it's a coin or a dice, because you're still using the same sort of proportions in place. So a coin would be 50-50, heads versus tails. Red versus blue would be 50-50, right? For just pulling them out of a bucket, you could do it that way too if you didn't want to use dice. And then that would be for kids that are maybe not wanting to learn about the numbers, you could actually do red and blue with preschoolers, probably even, or kids that have maybe dyslexia or something like that. learning challenges without using the dice. So you could just use red and blue if you wanted to. Markers, put them in a bucket. Or a hat or something like that. Okay, for dice, you've got the even versus the odd. So for that, or you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You know, you could do small numbers and big numbers. But just organize it on a piece of paper so that your kids know what you're doing. We did even versus odd. Okay, my 7-year-old was capable of doing that, but you can pick what you want to do for your kids, okay? The point is that you're picking 3 easy ones that they can remember the 2 categories for, okay? Okay, so what you want to do is you're the recorder and the kid gets to throw the dice, okay? And so first you're going to do 2 trials, which just means you're going to throw the dice you're going to throw 1 dice 2 times, or you're going to throw 2 dice 1 time, and you record both of them, okay? So either result, you should have 2, and you're gonna just use your little dots. The kids are used to, it's kind of, the kids are used to the 10 frame, so it's just 5 dots on top and then 5 dots on the bottom, so they can visually see what they're calculating there. Okay, and so we accidentally did too many on that side, so we actually did this one. So first you're gonna do 2 trials, and I'll do a summary of this after I'm all done. You're gonna do 2 trials, and then you're gonna do 10 trials. So this was 10 dice rolled. Got kind of lucky on both of these. This was lucky that it was 50-50, red versus blue, one dice and 1 dice for each of them. And for this one, we had all 10 blue. That was the only time we ever got it out of the 256 trials, I think, that we did, or whatever, yesterday. So we talked about that this is lucky, and that this one was lucky. It's just a fluke that it happened that way, okay? So then we continued to do this, and this didn't take us very long, probably only took us a half hour or something like that. Biggest thing is to stay organized, and I'll help you stay with that with the templates. Then you're gonna do your 50 trial. So this is throwing the dice 50 times, or 2 dice 25 times. And I just like to record them each, you know, at the, marked it off here by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so that we could do them in the 10 frame the way that the kids are used to doing them, with the 5 dots on top and the 5 dots on the bottom. Okay, then after that, then you do the 100 trials. And this one got a little messier. I've got a cleaner template for you. But you've got box A here for red, box A here for blue, for blue. Okay, and then you've got box F here and box F for the red versus the blue, making a total of 10 for each of those letter squares that relate there. Okay, so we did 100 trials. Our results were, so for 2 trials, it was a fluke. It was lucky. We got 1 red, 1 blue. For 10 trials, 10 throwing of the dice, then we had 10 blue. Also very lucky, very rare. If you play games, you could talk about playing games with your kids, because like, you know, Yahtzee, Farkle, Quirkle, anything like that, where it's really, really hard to get a lot of something in a row. They'll kind of sense that, right? Like whatever game you use. Candyland even, you know, can you get 10 reds in a row? Ask them that question about that, you know. So they'll relate to that, some of those games that you've already played with them. Then we went to the 50 trials, and that was 22 red and 28 blue. Okay, then we went to the 100 trials, so that means 100 times throwing the dice, or in this case we had 2 dice, so 50 times each, and I was the recorder, and he would tell me if it was even or odd, right? So red we did as odds, and blue we did as even. I purposely chose those because it kind of related to the election, right? We have an odd number president, number 45. You know, next one could be 46 possibly there. So again, this is just math. It's not anything to do with the election at all, but it just, as some of those discussions came up, I was kind of like, you know, thinking about on how I organize that for the kids. Okay, so that's 100 trials. 100 trials had 42 red and 58 blue. Okay, so the moral of that lesson, and you want to do the hands-on stuff, but then you want to have the questions as well. So so then you can start asking some of these questions, and let me see here. Where did it go? I had a better one with questions. Let's see, I think I did it on your templates here for you. Okay, so the questions are, so with the smaller samples, the 2 trials and the 10 trials, okay, versus the large trials, the 50 and the 100 trials, okay, which one had you can start saying which one was the one that was more like what you expected, the smaller category or the larger category? And the answer is going to be the larger category, because the more trials that you do, the more data that you have, that it gets to what the statistical having a chance of a 50-50 chance is actually having. Okay, so that's the answer for you, for parents. And then, so what if instead if you had 100,000, like the 98,000 votes, or if you had 150,000 or 130,000 votes, you know, which is that getting to be more accurate or less accurate than our 100 trial data? And the answer is going to be more accurate. It's going to be getting closer and closer and closer with the decimal percentage points, very fine tuning that decimal thing. So that's why we need the multiple states to be reviewed, if that's happening in multiple states. And then the larger the sample base is, the more trials that are done, it's going to get more closer to what it actually should be, in terms of, obviously, you want to record the real data or whatever, but for it to be 100% of 98,000 votes or 138,000 votes, moving all to one person all at the same time, you can see that only happened once, and we did it 256 times. So seems very, very unlikely that is that's the case there and so forth. So just trying to keep our kids critically thinking to raise more questions. That's the goal, right? Okay, it does not need to be political at all, but okay, so then if you want to do one last activity, what you can do is you can do, okay, well, what if there was 3 teams, you know, red, blue, and other? Maybe there's a couple other candidates that all kind of fall in the other category, right? Which is easily done with dice there as well. You can just do like 1 and 2 for red, 3 and 4 for blue. My son's favorite color is orange, so that's why he chose that. 5 and 6, you know, I just kept everything really organized. You got 100 things that you're gonna roll each time. And you're gonna see, okay, so if you add more candidates to the ballot, then is that gonna get it closer to, is it gonna get closer or further away of that 100% categorization there? And actually have them do it with the dice, and then you'll see. So for what we did 100 trials. We got 23 red, we got 43 blue, and 34 orange. Okay, now my son has already figured this out, that it should be close to 33% for each category there, which is 1/3, right? So he knows that, but you know, most kids might not know that at age 7 or whatever, which is fine. But the point is that it's not going to be no longer 50-50%, and it's for sure not going to be 100% of the time, especially when you do it, you know, 100,000 times, 150,000 times, 1,000,000 times, whatever it is, you know, and then times 6 states or 10 states or whatever that number turns out to be. You can see that that definitely eyes should be raised, you know, and be questioning this sort of thing. So, that was just a fun activity. My son loved it. Again, it was a great right brain activity. I'm going to include the templates like this. Oh, and the way I did it, I had him organize it, and he could tell me if I was supposed to mark red, blue, or orange. And because he just physically moved the dice over, which is really important at that age, to be categorizing them that way. So he was the one responsible. You could do this with just the even and odds category too, with just red and blue, but then say evens and odds, or 1, 2, and or 1, 3, and 5, 2, 4, and 6 there if you needed to do that. So they're using multiple ways to code this sort of situation in their brain, if you want to call it that. So thanks for listening. It was a super fun activity with my kid. I hope you guys enjoy it too. And below this video, I will include pictures of these little templates so that you can make it an easy activity too. Again, took me only probably about a half hour to do with my kids. And he loved it. And we did not talk politics really, because he doesn't know what's going on with the 98,000 or the 138,000. But someday he is going to have to be a critical thinker, thinking about some of that stuff. So just wanted to share with you, and hope you enjoy your right brain activity day with your math scholars today. So bye-bye.